All right. Well, dude, I appreciate you for trying this out, man. Second time.
It's all good.
That was my bad. So,
It's all good. Hey, listen, we always have more tries to get it right, you know?
all right. Well, welcome to the Stretch to Go podcast. I'm your host, Ian Ray. I'm here with my friend Chris Ching, all the way up in the northern country of Canada. Thank you. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, sir. So basically, the reason for this podcast that I start to do this is I want to make this a place of resource for future practitioners who are looking to do fascial stretch therapy, as well as wanting to know what is stretch to win. What are they all about? Why people chose to do stretch to win instead of other different, academies or different places that you can learn about stretch therapy, because there wasn't any that I was looking for, or I guess I couldn't find any resources available when I was searching. I found on social media people doing stretch to win, doing stretch FST, but I just didn't know much about it. So when I was doing that, I was like, I'll just do a podcast so that people who like myself, wanted to do FST, they could come and kind of learn more, learn from different people who are doing different avenues, like yourself and many other people that I will be interviewing in the future. So first, I'd like to start off, man. Tell me your name, your location, give us your occupation, and how long have you been doing it?
All right, so my name is Chris. I am actually the head coach here at Fight Fitness, and I've been at this location for about almost 8 years as of this November. But as far as FST goes, yeah, I'm fairly new into the world. Otherwise, it's been a pretty good add-on to my skill set.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're located in Markham here in Canada, Ontario.
Okay, gotcha.
Just north of Toronto.
Got it. Okay, not that far from Toronto, or is it in the suburbs of Toronto?
Yeah, I'd say it's like 20, 30 minutes north of Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I'm curious to know your backstory of how you got into your career, into what you're doing right now as a head coach at Fight Fitness.
Yeah, so I got into working with Fight Fit initially as a kids coach. I saw the ad on Indeed. I was actually working with a buddy of mine. I went through chef school and, through life and some career changes. I decided, I want to be able to spend more time with the people I love. And that includes weeknights, weekends, holidays. So, can't be a chef if that's the case. But what ended up happening was one of my buddies, I was telling him, hey, listen, I'd really like to, sorry, I'm just watching my coworker trying to bail out of a bench press. Anyway, yeah, I was telling him, hey, listen, like I want to get out of the cooking biz and I want to just do a little bit better. Hey, is it cool if I apply to this gig? And he was like, yeah, for sure, man. Like, I think you'd be awesome for it. He reminded me like a couple days earlier. I was like, man, it'd be sick if I could just, teach martial arts and get paid to work out all the time. And then, if you ask for it enough, eventually it happens, I guess.
Uh-huh. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been here for the longest time, and I've done a variety of different things. I've been in construction, I've been in the computer science world, I've done culinary arts, but this seems to be the one where if I go on vacation, I'm able to come back. Actually, usually when I go on vacation on my other jobs, I'm like, 2 weeks in, I'm like, forget this. This is good enough time for me to write my resignation. But you know what? This is probably the one gig where, I spend a week away and I'm like, I'm just itching to get back to it, get back to my community, get back to the people I work with. So it's nice to have people that you can serve.
What's your typical demographic or population that you're working with there at Fight Fitness?
We work with a wide range of people. I'd say the massive majority of the folks we work with are going to be women. And in particular, it's going to be, ladies anywhere from early 20s into mid to late 50s. We've got quite a handful of gentlemen on our team as well as in our community as well. So decent mix, but I'd say the massive majority is going to be ladies. And then I also still work with some kids. I got a little group of them, about 4 or 5 of them, and they are anywhere from 10 all the way up to 15, 16. So just a wide range of skills, wide range of people, and always love working with people who've never done kickboxing or martial arts before. This means you get no bad
Hmm.
habits.
How did you get into martial arts? Is that something like your dad and mom wanted to do, or is it something you just found on your own?
No, I've always wanted to do martial arts as a kid. I think, the first time I saw it was on Dragon Ball Z. And I'll show you the
Yeah.
mural there. Yeah, so you see Goku powering up, and he's training and getting stronger, and then you see Vegeta going after it as well. And I'm like, damn, I want to be like that. But honestly, for the longest time, my dad never wanted me to get martial arts. He, for some reason, thought that martial arts would make you a more violent or more angry person. And growing up, I was
Mm.
not the calmest kid, I must say. But
Mm.
after learning what I know about martial arts now, I'd say it's the exact opposite. Tends
Yeah.
to uh, how do I put this? When you don't have any real problems, your brain tends to give you problems.
Uh-huh.
So, learning how to defend yourself, learning how to train, and incorporating things that are supposed to be good for you gives you some very real problems to solve, and expose yourself to, I don't want to say a lot of danger, but like enough danger that you got to stay on your toes, and as you're solving through those kinds of problems, it keeps things fresh for sure.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I have two kids and they're in Taekwondo right now and just finished the year, but I just seen I guess I have seen a change in them as far as their demeanor and attitude. I mean, I think any form of martial arts is great.
Yeah.
So I just
H-
decided, no, let's give it a try. So
how old are the kids?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Yeah,
So this started like last year. So they're like 3 and 4.
nice. I honestly, at that age with the really, really young kids, I think it's really important that we can start working on discipline. But honestly, at the early ages, it's all about build up
Fun.
fun, have a good
Mm.
relationship with martial arts, have a good relationship with fitness. If you instill in them early enough that, hey, fitness is supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be something that you're
Hmm.
interested in, and they'll just keep showing up. Eventually, they'll have been doing it for years and years. And they're like, listen, I'm here anyway. I might as well pick up the real skills. I might as well pick up self-defense. I might as well pick up the other parts. But it starts off with, like, honestly, with the number of parents I work with, I realize now my real client is not the kid, it's the parents. Because I know what you guys are dealing with at home when your kid doesn't want to go. They're complaining every single time. Do I have to go?
Hmm.
They always yell at me and they're not nice and so on. So if you make it a good experience for your kids, and if they're having a good time, then we're having a good time. And at those early stages, is you want your kids to say, "Hey, listen, I can't wait to go. I've got all my stuff. I'm excited to go," and that gives mom and dad a solid 45 minutes to maybe an hour of quiet time, of relaxed time. So I know what's up. So I honestly
Yeah.
just gotta make sure they're having fun out there.
Yeah. No, that's facts. Yeah, that's 100%. um, Curious to find out, how did you hear about FST? So Stretch to Win in general. How did you hear about Stretch to Win? And I guess what made you choose to do fascial stretch therapy?
Yeah, a few years ago, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I was taking a course with Darby Training Systems. So Kevin Darby, the owner, and also he's the owner of DTS, Darby Training Systems,
Okay.
but he's also the president, as I found out just recently, of Stretch to Win Canada. And while we were doing the DTS course, it was a barbell certification. Honestly, I was just there to upgrade my skills because before working here, I had only ever done body weight exercises. I didn't know anything about weightlifting. So,
Uh-huh.
having a solid skill set to say, like, this is how you do it, that's really what I was after. But on that course, it was a week long. Uh, Between all the classes, and we are taking a little lunch break, I saw Kevin on the table being worked on by one of the other students because they were taking FST at the time, and I was looking at it, I was like, oh, what is that? And I remember later on when they brought it back up in the middle of the course, anytime you do any kind of lifts, especially for squats, especially for bench press, if people have like shoulder limitations or especially
Mhm.
front squat, right? Got to keep
Oh
things
yeah.
nice and tight. Like if your shoulders are jacked up, it's not going to work. So he worked a little bit of FST magic, and when you first see it in person, or at least when I first saw it in person, I was like, is that magic? Like that guy's range of motion was terrible, and then you moved him for all of like what 30 seconds, maybe even 30 seconds, Now, which went against everything I knew about stretching, which went against everything I knew about mobility. And not only were they able to do it, like they were able to go under the bar and feel comfortable. Same day, same
Mm,
moment. I was like, that's magic. I got to learn something about that. And it wasn't until years later that finally the opportunity came back up, that I was in the right place in the right time. I had all my team in place, so I'd actually take time off to go and take the course. So yeah, it was a while ago, and since then I'd only figured out or learned that there isn't a lot of information about FST as it stood at that time, and even
yeah.
now it's still a relatively new thing. They're still collecting more info, but it's one of those things where I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know if it's real, because you see like a 2-second demonstration of it, and who knows, right? But it's definitely one of those things that once you experience it, once you see the science behind it, once you see the thought process and what they're trying to do, then it's like, yeah, okay, absolutely, I'm on board with that. Like let's build this skill, let's learn this thing, because I think that there is some serious value to it.
So when you first started, when you know enrolled into the Stretch to Win course, did you have any like initial thoughts, hesitancy about entering to it, or were you kind of like sold already? Like, oh, I got to do this.
It's weird. I was on the fence about it for a long time in terms of the course itself, because I'm a personal trainer. I'm a martial artist. I am a group fitness instructor. I am definitely not a physio, RMT. I'm not a chiropractor. I am not in the healing world most of the time. I'm in like the world of violence and how to hurt people.
Uh
So
huh.
when I was going into it, I was like, I don't know anything about this. Am I even the right fit for it? So a lot of like self-doubt and a lot of anxiety going around, because I was like, I don't know, man, am I just be terrible at this? But I was excited about it because of the quality of the instructor that Kevin is, and his team, all the people that he always brings on. The level of education that you receive is unmatched. I can't even exaggerate that. Having gone through chef school, which was by far one of my favorite experiences, um,
Hmm.
and yet still, this is even better than that. I'd say this is like way at the top of my list of my favorite instructors, favorite ways that they structured the course, favorite way that they showed you everything. Being able to experience things firsthand was a huge, huge draw for me. It's not only that you can read things in a book, but having someone do it to you, and then you get to do it to somebody else, and then we're all transferring knowledge, but on a very physical one-to-one kind of way, is something that like I said, you only really ever get to see in martial arts. Is like, hey, listen, you can see somebody get punched in the face on a camera, but until you get punched in the face in real life by yourself for real, like you have no idea what it's actually like. So um,
Yeah.
luckily this FST came with a lot less pain, no pain,
Hmm.
and a whole lot less brain damage.
Yeah, that's true. um, have you incorporated fascia stretch therapy with your clients since we were done with course, which is like a month ago, dude?
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you? Okay.
Yeah. It's funny because whenever you do any sport for any amount of time,
Hmm.
eventually you get those RSIs, and shoulder pains, hip pains. Almost everybody who does any kind of striking martial art, I'm talking to you right now. You got low back pain, and it's coming from your hamstrings. It's because you're bouncing around all the time. So yeah, definitely a lot of people here need that work to work on their calves, work on their hamstrings, open up their back so they're not walking around, or at home working, being complaining about back pain all the time. And what I'll often do at the very beginning of a class is we'll say, hey, does anybody have any injuries? Is there anything we need to know about? And you always get like the head and shoulders, knees and toes, and everybody's pointing everywhere. And I'm like, all right, you're gonna come and talk to me right after class. And it's always a good thing to look and see where people's limitations are, especially in a group setting. You get to see so many different body types, and so many
Oh yeah,
different
I bet.
levels of athleticism.
Um, you have any success stories or wins of clients who have had FSD sessions with you since you've incorporated using it?
Yeah, there's this one lady that I had on my table, and she's been an on and off client with us for a little while. I think she's based out of Ottawa. And for the
Okay.
summer, she stopped by for a couple of months to train with us, to spend some time in our community, and she did some FST with me. And while I had her on the table, I had her get into sideline. And at one point, I was working on her bent knee, the quad and hip flexor. And after we got through that set, she gets up and she's like, "This feels amazing. I haven't been able to even lie down or sleep on my side in like years." And I thought that I was like, this is one session, man. Like, we got to find you somebody out in Ottawa, because like you definitely are benefiting from this. Um, and honestly, that's kind of the thing that I'm after, which is to
Mhm.
provide people a way to live more of their lives with as little pain as possible, so that they can go out and do fun things like kickboxing, or go on a hike, or go fishing first thing in the morning. I think that kind of stuff is really what I'm after. Is yeah, of course, martial arts is fun for self-defense and all that, but I think really what it is it's freedom in your own body, freedom to go outside, and just be able to live life as much as you can.
How do you offer FSD to your clients? I mean, I know you're saying that you do group settings and then you kind of like observe, assess
Yeah.
to see which ones or they tell you, but how do you offer it? Do you like come up to them?
Yeah,
How do you
that's a
present
good
it to them?
question. It started off with the PT or the personal training clients that I have, and I was just saying, hey, listen, I got this new skill. You've been complaining about these problems for a while. Let's book an FST session. What's your availability? And then as I'm going through this, I'll go through the same process with folks that I see in classes, and I'll say, hey, listen, typically the first few sessions, we're looking at about 3 sessions in the first few weeks. We just want to see where we can go, and then I recommend them to see me once a month after they're getting to a spot where they feel pretty good, and we can find some homework. We can pair it up with their strength training program, and typically I'm working on 3 or more sessions at a time, so that way I don't have to figure out
Hmm.
what my schedule is, and really just being predicting that my schedule is going to be full up for the next few weeks. I think I'm booking out like 2.5, 3 weeks out now. So it's
Okay.
yeah, schedules getting full, and that's being balanced in with all of the classes that I do, and personal training and nutrition calling, and all the other stuff that we get into.
Sure. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, it's good. I think that's very important to kind of book it out and then to make sure that you have time to do FSD and with your PT clients and all those. So
Yeah.
how would you explain fascia to someone who does not know anything about fascia? Because obviously there might be people here learning or brand new to fascia. What is your definition of fascia? If you have an analogy, feel free.
I've been thinking about that a little bit more, and I think last time I said it was kind of like the internet, where things are all connected. But
Hmm.
honestly, if you can imagine drawing a continuous line from your fingertip all the way through your arm, all the way across your body, it'll actually connect all the way down to your feet. And I imagine it very much like a rubber band, but sometimes the rubber band doesn't stretch evenly, and that
Mm.
typically is where you end up seeing a lot of the problems. So what I think FST does is it allows us to loosen up specific parts of the rubber band so it stretches more evenly. And part of that, what I've noticed, and actually on day one they mentioned that it's not necessarily just a hardware thing where we're working on the tissue, but it's also very much a software thing where you have your client on the table, and everybody's walking around with all this stress, and they're all like this all the time because they're stressed out with their work stuff. So just teaching them and practicing those repetitions of letting go of the tension in their body. And what I found to be most interesting as I've been practicing in the past month or so is I've noticed that it's exactly like strength training. And what I mean by
Mm.
that is it's all about reps, and it's active reps. These are things that you have to be on board with. It's things that your brain is doing automatically for you. But if we put some intentionality into it, you can learn how to create tension in your body, strength training, and you can also learn
Hmm.
how to create relaxation in your body. And knowing how to fire those muscles or turn them off at the right times seems to be what does the magic for it. I actually had one client on the table, and we were going through the sessions. I think it was our second or third session. And then I said to him, listen, man, when I'm doing FST, we know that we're doing it right if you're able to fall asleep. It's kind of like, actually, here's a really good analogy. It's kind of like if you're an electrician, you got to turn off the power before you can do any work on the systems, because otherwise you might get zapped or bad things could happen. So let's try to relax as much as possible. Let's put down the guards as much as we can, and then we'll work through it. And after the session, he was like, "Man, I feel so good. I'm so nice and light." And then because he was working with Mark, one of our program managers, he's his typical his main trainer, and Mark said, his range of motion, his mobility was better than ever. He's never seen him be able to squat all the way down past 90 degrees. And like, that was crazy. It was like 2 sessions.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think that's the one key indicator I look at is that full body, the overhead squat. And I was working on a client yesterday, and I noticed when he was trying to do his overhead squat, dude, like he was leaning forward, his ankles was raised, shoulder was, going forward. So I knew right away that I was going to work on his calf. I was going to work on upper body a lot. And it just happened to be when I was doing a session, it was totally true. Everything was super tight. And so I know for a fact I'm going to be working on that a lot just because his range of motion is very tight. And he's only like 13. So, but this kid's an athlete. So I figured he's probably overusing or not. He doesn't have great mechanics. But thank you for that. That's a good analogy of that rubber band. Would you say, I guess, what advice would you give to someone who is looking into doing Stretch to Win Institute for FST's course, if they're on the fence about it? Do you have any advice? Or
as I've thought about it, it is a steep cost. It's not a cheap course as compared to many of the other courses that you can take as a trainer. What I would say, though, is this is by far the highest revenue generating skill that I have. Typically, a personal training session is like $60 for a half hour. FST, I'm charging something like $130, $135 per session for the hour roughly. And sometimes it takes more time, sometimes it takes a little bit less time. But by far, if you're concerned about that, you'll definitely make the money back. But if you're really on the fence about it, go try it. I would say go find a location that has FST practitioners, see it, feel it, understand it. I'm sure that if you're somebody who's in the training world, you know your own ranges of motion, you know what you really struggle with, and you'll be able to see marked improvement. And there's actually something we talk about in the strength world as well, which is, if this is good for you, we will know right away. Right? We're going to open up your hips. We're going to do this mobility. We're going to do this thing. And if that adjustment that worked, we're going to keep doing more of that. And it should happen at that moment in that time. And then the same thing is true for FST. I remember during the very last couple of days, we were working on the calf series, actually specifically the calf series. That was incredible. I know that I've always had really tight ankles, and just being able to get all the way down ass to grass is a big deal, I think. And definitely try it, see it, feel it, and then you'll know firsthand exactly what I'm talking about. It's the FST touch that is really, really the magic behind it.
So true, man. So to wrap up today, I want to promote what you're doing, your work, your location. So I'd love to know how the audience, people are listening, can follow you and learn more about what you're doing. If you don't mind, give me your social media handle, a website, maybe an email, and then last of all, the physical work location, so people can go there and learn more and join your class. Yeah, I got you. Ahead. So
you can find our gym on Instagram. We are at Fight Fit Boot Camps, and you'll also find our website at fight.fitness. We are physically located here at 50 Torbay Road in Markham. We're really just off of the major highway 404 and off at Steeles, so just north of that. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm not super crazy active, but I do talk to people. I do connect with everybody. And you'll see me at c.chingy.grow.
Awesome. Brother, thank you so much for allowing me to do this and your time. Thank you so much for your wisdom. And I'm looking forward to hearing more because I want to work with people in martial arts and in corporate FST. So I'm definitely going to still follow you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yo, hit them with that straight leg series. They'll love it. Honestly, they'll all love the straight leg series. It's good for everybody. Lateral net, straight leg series. Oh, fantastic.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And have a good rest of your day, brother.
You too. See you around.
Bye.